𝗀𝗶𝗴𝗶 is the owner of a sawmill and transport company in Knysna and runs her own business. This morning, she has her hands full. Blades have to be sharpened and logs to be cut on her trusted 𝗀𝗏𝗧 machine.
This 𝗀𝗏𝗧 is 26 years old, and this machine only had one operator in this 26 years, and that was me.
This is a special skill that you have.
Well, that's the only skill I have, so if you think it's special, I'm honored.
𝗀𝗏𝗧's roots go back 3 generations. Both her father and grandfather were woodcutters who made their living from the forest.
My father and grandfather were born in the forest, and growing up in the forest, they had to walk distances to the tree that they were cutting, and they stayed away from home for a couple of weeks.
The woodcutter era started in the 1700s when there was a growing demand for wood in the manufacturing of ships, wagons and carts, and furniture. Skills were passed on from generation to generation. 𝗀𝗏𝗧's father, Adam, left school at 14 to work full-time with his father, Christian. Adam knew his only chance to escape the cycle of poverty that befell so many woodcutters of the early days was to buy his own truck and transport logs from manufacturing companies in Knysna. 𝗀𝗏𝗧 was a gangly 11-year-old when she started venturing into the forest with her father, Adam.
I loved going to the plantations with my father because we transported pine to the sawmills. And while he was loading the truck, we played around on the stacks of timber.
Timber plantations were established to give the natural forest of the 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀 a chance to revive. Today, indigenous forests are protected by the state, and only dying trees or windfalls may be harvested under license.
We are now in a part of the indigenous forest that's unique to Knysna, and we are standing next to a pristine example of the 𝗀𝗁𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 tree. This tree is enormous, and similar trees of the same size is estimated on being about 620 years old.
You're a descendant of the Knysna forest woodcutters, 3rd generation. Tell me how special this place is for you.
Well, it's got history. It's got, there's all these little stories. To me, the forest is like a museum.
One of the well-known stories written about the people who lived in the forest was from the pen of 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. Well-known South African author 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 wrote Circles in the Forest. It's a story about a woodcutter with a restless soul who shared a bond with an elephant bull. She cross-checked her facts with Adam when she paid him a visit to find out more about woodcutters and their way of life. Earlier this year, 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 received an unexpected call from Professor Martina Meinken from the Wood and Science Department at the University of Stellenbosch in search of a piece of indigenous wood that would make a unique African violin.
When I called 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗃 in February, I asked her to find a few pieces of indigenous wood for me to make the violins. The wood I was looking for was a perfect radial cut without any defects, without knots of the wood species I specified, and that was yellowwood, blackwood, and hardpear.
We search through the piles of timber. Then I take a photo and I send it to the professor, and then she rejects it. And then there was this last piece, and I took a photo expecting a rejection, and she said it was okay. I was delighted.
Traditionally, violins are made from imported spruce or maple wood. The property of the wood, such as the strength, beauty, and color, give the instrument the specific characteristic. This project was part of a scientific study to test if our indigenous wood could be used as tone woods in the crafting of a violin. After all the back and forth to find the perfect indigenous wood to make a unique African violin, yellowwood was the chosen piece. Under the craftsmanship of Hannes Jacobs, a luthier from Pretoria, a unique African violin was made. Yellowwood was used for the front and sapele, an indigenous wood from West Africa, for the back and the neck. Bjorn Lawson, a 3rd-year music student from the University of Stellenbosch, put the instrument to the test.
So this instrument's sound is incredible. It is made of yellow wood and 𝗧𝗶𝗶𝘀𝗀 wood, and it's much heavier than the normal violin, but the sound is so big, and like I get goose flesh when I do play it. Yeah, the bass part of the instrument is extremely like fleshy. It's very, very heavy. It's beautiful. But yes, overall a very, very nice instrument to play.
When we got the violin back, I was very surprised with its full sound. I was a bit worried at the beginning that it might not actually radiate the high notes well because of the wood properties, but I think it sounds very, very good.
For 𝗀𝗀𝗃, the sound of the African violin that she contributed to is as special as the sound of the famous Stradivarius, undoubtedly the world's most celebrated violin.
They refer to the violin as the African violin, but my maiden name was Stander. In my mind, it is a Stradivarius.
𝗀𝗀𝗃 may be one of the last woodcutters of Knysna, but her grandfather's vision for a better kind of life for his family has come to fruition in her generation. I'm actually so excited right now because I've never been in a truck before, and I'm about to hop onto this 56-ton truck.
Okay, so
The truck shake.
Yeah, the truck shake.
𝗀𝗀𝗃 took over driving the heavy-duty trucks the day she could get a license at age 21. She has since added another and managed to provide jobs, not least for the transport team, her husband Voli and right-hand man Jonathan Carolus. It's grueling work, and family life has had to be woven around the orders and deliveries, like the day her first daughter Andrea was due.
Andrea was due on the 4th of July, and the 4th of July came and went and no baby. So I just went on with life, and I went to pick up a load of timber and I delivered it the night. And the next morning, there she was.
Succeeding in business has meant 𝗀𝗀𝗃 could give her children a chance to choose their own path. Andrea now studies engineering at university. Her second daughter, Elizabeth, is in grade 12. We spent a day with your mom yesterday, and wow, what does it feel like to be her daughter?
I feel it's made me very independent. It has shown me that if you really try to do something, you will. And I will always be grateful for her.
As fewer descendants take up the craft, the woodcutters' numbers dwindle, but 𝗀𝗀𝗃 rejoices in the rich inheritance her father left behind.
You know, I had these little goals, and I always hoped that he will be there to see that I met them. Eventually, when he died, I was at peace with it. Are you going to look after the factory? Huh?